Farmers today are facing rising costs, volatile markets, and extreme weather. The A Better Way to Farm podcast digs into strategies to help you take control of farm inputs and maximize profit so your farm can thrive for generations. Remember to take advantage of our free resources at abetterwaytofarm.com. Now, from America's Heartland, here's your host.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. We are super excited today. Rod at A Better Way to Farm, where we increase yields and improve profits. And we're very fortunate today because we have a young man who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. He's actually setting at the edge of the field. He's spreading cover crops right now, even as we speak. And he took time out to come and to talk to us about that very topic. And guys, I know that cover crops are something that a lot of people should be looking at. A lot of people are. And sometimes there's been some good info and some bad info, and we're going to try to sort through all of that. So I'd like to welcome to the call a good friend of ours, a local boy here who came home and bought a business in our hometown of Kissaaqua, and I'm very excited about that. Ryan Wolf, thank you for taking time to join us tonight.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So what's got you an hour and a half from home late in the evening to be spreading cover crops? What possessed you to do that?
It's kind of, I guess, a long story. I was working at the business in town at the time and selling cover crops, and this guy called in and he needed a bunch of cereal rye. He happened to be from the same town where I was going to college at. And so I said, hey, if you need some fall help, I'll help you. And he called me one day and needed help. And so I've been working for him since then. I'm going on 3 years now. And he was a huge supporter of me taking over the seed business. And he's been a great customer since. Just great people to be around overall. I mean, just wonderful people.
I appreciate that. I'm going to close with this too, Ryan, but I want people to know how to get a hold of you because you do a great job of selling and shipping cover crop seed and all kinds of seed for that matter. If they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
So email or phone number is the best. We do have a Facebook page you can check out. So our email address is iowamissouriseed@gmail.com, all spelled out. And our phone number you can call in anytime is 319-293-3114. And that's the easiest way to reach us by far. Ask for Ryan and we can chat about cover crops as much as you want.
Okay. And how do we find you on Facebook?
So yeah, just search Iowa Missouri Seed or Ryan Wolf and I should pop up, and then you can message us there. People usually know how to get a hold of me, so you can ask the Better Way to Farm group. They'll find me as well.
That's right. We can do that too. We hang out some and it's a lot of fun. So let's dive in here and let's talk about cover crops. First of all, in general, I know you believe strongly in these for it seems like your whole life, Ryan. Why is that? Why are you so pro cover crop?
I guess growing up, just being on a small operation, mostly on the cattle side, we started out with it just kind of looking at a feed resource. And then I started doing more research into them, especially with my science fair projects and stuff, looking at the erosion problems that just the state of Iowa has. I mean, it's across the Midwest. And I was a huge proponent. And then as I've, kind of dove deeper into the research of it and the studies, just so many benefits that go along with it. There is some management involved, but just the positive benefits of it, erosion prevention, and then the nutrient cycling, feeding your biology into the winter. I mean, just so many positives.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. So are you spreading what you're spreading right now? Because I think the truest testimony is you believe in it strong enough to do it. You're spreading on a field, and next year that field's going to be in what crop, Ryan?
So this field is going to soybeans next year. We're doing a mix of cereal rye and winter camelina. This is actually in a watershed area. I'm actually parked right next to a creek at this current moment. So erosion prevention is extremely huge right here. This is right next to a watershed. And cereal rye, obviously, we can start there or whatnot, but that is one of the best for stopping erosion.
Okay. And talk to me about what you feel the benefits are for the coming bean crop, aside from keeping the topsoil there is huge, but what are the other benefits that you see?
So I like it because I believe you can get some of that early. Cereal rye is one of the things that turns on the first in the springtime, and it kind of can help suck some moisture out of the soil. It also will help with some weed suppression in the spring, and it really kind of makes a good companion with those soybeans early on. I'm a big proponent of planting soybeans early through that cereal rye and then coming back later and getting it terminated. It's a great weed mat, and overall it kind of loosens that soil up for those soybeans.
And so when you're using cereal rye in front of beans, you're going to plant into it and then terminate it.
Yep. That's my plan. I mean, this current guy, this farm here, he'll terminate probably right around the time of planting. On my operation back home, we'll plant soybeans through the rye. We'll probably come back a week or two later and then terminate that cover crop later on.
Yeah, that's cool. I know you're expanding your farming operation too. You're going to be farming a piece that basically is almost contingent with, well, it is contingent with Karen's farm. And so we're excited to see that happening for you. Congratulations. If you're going to be going to corn, what seed would you recommend guys planting? You know, they've tore out their beans, they're done, and now they're going to put in a cover crop that's going to be a cornfield next year. What do you recommend there? What's your favorite?
So corn is, you got to be extremely careful because you can lose some yield with the wrong cover crop or with the wrong time frame, wrong management of the cover crop. So the easiest thing to do is, let's say you harvest your soybeans September, October. You can get oats and radishes in there. Those are going to winter kill in most cases, and you won't create a problem for the corn crop. There are some people now planting a lot of cereal rye or say winter wheat before the corn crop. And it's just like we talk with residue. You can tie up a lot of nitrogen with your residue on the soil surface, and the cover crop is a huge, that sucks up a lot of nitrogen. It can really starve that corn crop early on. So you've got to plan for that, make adjustments, and be prepared with plan A, B, C, and be ready to react if things don't go the way you originally planned.
I can appreciate that. And I think that's one of the things. And, I come at this from the fertility side. You're here because I truly value you as an expert in cover crops. Most of my experience with cover crops has been when something went dreadfully wrong for one of my people. And that's always making me real sad. And so we've seen some of that where they tied up the nutrients and it was way too late in the year before they let go. And it cost guys a lot of yield. I am a fan of oats, and some people look at me and think that's kind of weird, but I like oats because they're definitely going to self-terminate, especially if we can get them in like late September, October. They're going to jump up, and we've got some great weather coming here where we live, Ryan, this week and for the next 10 days. But to get those oats in there, they give us a good cover, they protect the soil, but they're gone. You don't have to worry about them. How do the radishes fit in with that?
So the radishes help kind of just to add to the diversity of the mix. They're great for breaking up compaction. They also will provide a kind of a big tuber, we call it, and that really helps soak in some water with some of the heavy early spring rains. The compaction is where we see the most benefit. I was digging some actually today, and they were about a foot deep, and it came basically to a point pushing down through a hard pan. I couldn't get the spade through it, but the radish was poking through. And so it's pretty interesting to see just the benefit you see with those. They're not necessarily going to completely alleviate that compaction the first year like maybe an inline would, but over time across the whole field, you're going to see some improvements.
Yeah, I can spread a lot of radishes for what it costs me to pull an inline ripper through a field.
Exactly.
And I own an inline ripper. We're very big on the zone commanders and what they will do. And basically for everything, there's a time and a place. But I think this radish idea is a good one. I want to go back now and talk about if we decided the guy's already got cereal rye in and he's going, I'm not sure I should have done that. Talk to me from your standpoint, Ryan. I put cereal rye in, it's up, it's growing. Next spring, it's going to take off like a rocket ship, and I'm going to corn. How do I handle that? When do I terminate it? How do I manage around the nutrient tie up? How do I handle those things correctly?
So the way I would look at it is I would first ask you what your fertilizer program is. If you're putting on nitrogen with the planter, you can alleviate a lot of those problems. If you're spraying some on with a burn down, you can also manage some of those problems. I would tell you if you're planting corn into a green mat of cereal rye, you need to be probably terminating that cover crop at the same time or shortly thereafter. And you need to have a little bit extra nitrogen early on to help that residue break down. I'd also add sugar, not to plug that, but I would add sugar in there as well to help that residue break down as fast as possible and feed the next crop. Because you can get a lot of fertilizer wrapped up in cover crop biomass that people don't account for. And it's just like your residue after a corn crop. There's a lot of dollars and fertilizer right there. We got to use it.
Yeah, and if we can recycle the corn stalks the next year, if we can recycle the whatever cover crop that we was, that's how we're going to get those nutrients out really quick. Ryan, I have seen, and I don't have the answer as to when they did it, but there is a particular wrong time as I understand it. I've had a couple of guys report that they terminated their rye at the wrong time. It created a toxicity and it hurt their germ really bad. Is that because they terminated it in advance and it was just like almost becoming silage and made the ground toxic for a period of time?
No, there actually cereal rye, when it gets to a certain stage, usually when it's headed out, it will put off an allelopathic toxin that actually prevents germination of really small seeds. So that's where you see that benefit of weed suppression with like water hemp, mare's tail, those small seeds. I have seen it only one time in corn, but I don't usually worry about it. I am terrified of tying up too much nitrogen in the biomass. That is what you need to be concerned with,
Okay.
more so than germination of the corn seed, because that toxin is going to attack the smallest seed it can get a hold of, and a lot of times that corn is not the smallest one available. It's still a possibility, but I put it on the bottom of the list and carbon and nitrogen ratio at the top.
Okay. So we do have a little bit of a carbon penalty here that we're going to have to pay. And so you're going to basically do that with a little bit of extra nitrogen up front, knowing that's not really wasted because, again, if you can get that residue to break down, it is going to release that at a later point in time, correct?
Yes, 100%.
That's cool. In regards to, like, it's now November. If you were going to be doing anything now, what would you recommend guys do?
In terms of a cover crop, we're late enough now in our area. We really need to be focused on just cereal grains. Oats are probably not going to get enough growth to add a huge amount of benefit, but your cereal rye, your winter wheat, camelina will still overwinter, but that's a side topic. Triticale goes in that batch as well. Those will overwinter almost 100% of the time, and they will provide that cover in the spring. They'll still germinate here this fall. I mean, cereal rye will germinate 34 degrees soil temp. I mean, it is extremely tough, and it will grow basically throughout winter. But that is basically what we're left with at this point in the season.
That's cool. I was just looking at the weather here while you were talking in our 10-day forecast. We're going to be up into the mid to upper 50s, even the low 60s, with the exception of 2 days. It looks like the weekend's going to be a little cold, but other than that, we've got, 2 weeks here of mid 50s and lows in the 40s. So we should get a pretty good start on all of this, correct?
Oh, yes. Yep. It's going to really soak up that warm weather and get a good jump.
So are you spreading your cover crops or how are you applying those tonight?
This is actually going in with a 30-foot John Deere air seeder. So basically a controlled spill drill, that's doing it. So it works great for cover crop, covers a lot of ground. I mean, you're running 8 miles an hour. You're really moving.
Do you feel this late in the year spreading anything over the top is a pretty big gamble, or what's your opinion on that?
Well, tell me, is there rain in the forecast? Because if there's not, it's a huge gamble.
You've confused me. My name is Rod. You're talking to God there, and that's not
Yeah.
correct, okay?
Yeah. There's moisture in the soil, but there's not on top where I'm at right now. So broadcasting on top, there's some people that'll broadcast it with their dry fertilizer. I'm not a huge believer in that for 2 reasons, but anyway, you got to get the cover crop seed to soil contact. And at this point, if we don't catch rain for a week and a half, 2 weeks, then you're in December basically, and you're not getting much growth at all. I mean, you've got to get it planted, especially if the crops are out. Just go ahead, run the drill across it if you can, and be done. If we're broadcasting, you ought to get that on when the corn crop is standing, the bean crop is standing, because that's where you can get that advantage of maybe catching some more rains going into fall.
So you've got some guys buying seed from you that are putting on with drones then, I assume?
Yeah, we have a lot of radishes go out in July, August timeframe flown into corn.
Excellent. I want to backtrack. You kind of said something there and then backed up from it. I want to know the reasons that you don't like to spread the seed with the fertilizer, because I feel that I agree with you, but I want to hear what you have to say, and I want our listeners to hear. Why do you not like to spread seed with dry broadcast fertilizer?
The risk-reward ratio is way out of whack, I think. It's super convenient. It's the easy button in 2 cases. It's the easy button to get cover crop put on, and it's the easy button for fertilizer. I mean, you can talk here for 2 hours about why dry broadcast fertilizer is not the right answer. Then we can go down the rabbit hole of why I don't like broadcasting seed on top of the soil. You need a lot of factors. You need great weather. You need rain. You need to get seed to soil contact, and throwing it on top, that is the easy button. Anybody can do that. But if you really want a good stand that's going to hold soil and guarantee you to be there, you need to drill, plant, vertical till in that cover crop somehow.
I can appreciate that. I agree with you. I think my idea Dry broadcast is a last choice from our standpoint. We believe in placement on everything, and even placing those seeds, even though it's a controlled spill, you're still placing them below the surface. You're going to get into moisture. There's a lot of reasons to do that. Ryan, I've kept you quite a while. You're going to be opening the store tomorrow morning again. I appreciate that. But any parting comments you'd like to give our listeners on things to be maybe thinking about, or a good thing to think about here in regards to cover crops?
I would say it all goes back to being willing to do tests and trials on your farm. Cover crops are really easy to test, but they are also really easy to mess up. It is another level of management that can have great reward for you if you're willing to manage it. They can be incredible in terms of water infiltration, organic matter, everything. There's so many positives, but yes, it's another level of management. So if you're already a high level manager, this won't be too hard for you, I promise.
There you go. That works. So one more time, Ryan, if they want to find you on Facebook, they type in Iowa Missouri Seed.
Yep, Iowa Missouri Seed. You'll find us.
That's right. And we follow your page, and you do a good job with that, by the way. Thank you. And if they'd like to get you on the telephone, they would dial what number?
319-293-3114.
Excellent. Ryan, we appreciate your time so much. I'm going to wrap this thing up and let you get back to running there, and I'm going to go back to work here in the office. But thank you for your time so much, bud.
Yep. Thanks, Rod. I appreciate it.
Yeah, right. Guys, we appreciate all of you tuning in. It's an honor for us to get to be a little bitty part of your life. We value our listeners who are a part of the podcast. If you need more information on cover crops, you can reach out. One of our team members can get a hold of you. But trust me, I talk to Ryan on a regular basis, and he talks to my girls almost every day. They're doing some great things together, working on stuff here, and we'd invite you to come and be a part of all of that. As always, we appreciate our listeners, and we really do hope you're having a better day.